Yo, Big Jones the Juggernaut. Welcome back to Unleashed, everybody. How is everybody doing? I am not doing very good because, as you can see by the background right now, I am no longer on a balcony cabin in a beautiful Carnival cruise. I am back at work. I'm at work. I'm always at fucking work, so here we are. Still recapping my Carnival cruise. I hope you guys have joined me through this whole journey. I've done several videos about my 8-day trip through the Southern Caribbean on the Carnival Horizon. I'll put a couple links in the description if you guys haven't gotten caught up yet. Please go back and watch them. There's a bunch of stuff in there, a lot of great information. But today, I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to do a top 10 for you guys. I did a couple of videos about the different ports of call as they were going on in the moment. But, you know, it's been about a week now since I've been back, so I've had a little time to reflect. So I want to give you guys a top 10 sights to see in the ports of call that I went to. Now, if you guys didn't know already, I sailed on the Carnival Horizon October 1st through the 9th of 2022. We went to Aruba, Curacao, La Romana, and Amber Cove, both those in the Dominican Republic. So those were the places I went, and I want to give you guys the skinny on the sites that we saw and where they stack up overall. So before we get started, I want to do kind of an honorable mention here. I want to go ahead and just put Amber Cove in general as just an honorable mention because it really is an extension of the ship. You know, that's Carnival's private island / resort, you know. It's not really the experience that we cruise for. You guys out there might like it. It's not a bad little spot to hang out in. You know, there's a really nice pool. There's a restaurant. You know, there's zip lining. There's a couple things that you can go ahead and do. But honestly, the best part for us going to Amber Cove is we met some really nice people. You know, we met some nice folks. Tanya and Frank, if you guys are watching right now, super cool Cubanos from Miami. You know, we sat and talked for a couple hours. We got a couple of drinks. I think I had a beer, and you know, we just sort of, you know, got some sun and just sort of enjoyed being off the ship for a couple hours. That was really it. Other than that, we got lunch that, I mean, you know, you step right off the ship, you know, and you're paying, you know, $25 for a sampler platter that was just okay, you know, and then, you know, $12, $15 drinks. I mean, you can get that on board, you know, and you can get the food for free on board, you know. I mean, honestly, with Amber Cove, with the restaurant we went to, I can't remember the name of it because the service wasn't all that great, to be honest, you know. I mean, to be fair, they were very busy, but, I mean, I would have taken that money that we spent at the restaurant on Amber Cove, and I would have gone to one of the specialty restaurants if I wanted to spend money on food. So that's just my take on Amber Cove. You guys go check it out if you want to. Like I said, it's cool. It's a nice little spot, but, you know, other than just kind of a beach day, I mean, that's really all it is. Number 10, we're going to talk about the Lighthouse in Aruba. Very cute little stop. Had a little bus there converted into a bar. They gave you some mixed drinks, you know, some smoothies, you know. It was a cool little place. It's a neat little spot. The best part about the Lighthouse was the vantage point over the water. As you could see this beautiful view of the beach, you know, from this, you know, we're up a little bit higher, so you got this great vantage point where you could see the beach. But the Lighthouse was cool. But the Lighthouse, like I said on my other video about Aruba, we only had 15 minutes at most of these little stops.
15 minutes. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Hey. 15 minutes.
So we didn't get time to go all the way up in the Lighthouse, you know. It would have taken some time. There were about 50 of us on this bus, so if everybody wanted to go up, it would have taken all day. We didn't have that kind of time. Well, actually, we had that kind of time. The tour guys did not have that kind of time because they wanted to do a turnaround, make their money. I'm not mad at them about that, but it is what it is. So Lighthouse, pretty cool. Go check it out. The Chocopunto Chocolate Factory in La Romana. So this place was cool, man. This place was cool. It's billed as a chocolate factory on the itinerary, but it wasn't really a factory that I could see. Maybe just a elaborate chocolate shop. It did have some kind of machinery back there that looks like it was involved in the production of their chocolate, but I didn't really see anybody really working on them. I mean, when you hear factory, you think machines and you think people grinding up, raw cocoa nibs and all that stuff. I didn't really see any of that. I mean, they had some neat stuff, but the what made the cocoa factory or the chocolate factory memorable for me is the people. The people were kind of, a little hot and cold to start. Like I mentioned that they had some security guards there that were kind of buff, and, I talked about, oh, hey, man, where's the gym, and then we had a dialogue starting, and, people kind of softened up a little bit. I don't know if people just see me and kind of size me up or whatever, but, it was a little touch and go there for a second, but we ended up all being friends, and we had a little conversation, and it was nice. But, it was cool. It had a little bit of history on cocoa, and, how it was used early on. It was used as medicine early on, and, the different properties of it. So we got a little bit of information there. It was definitely a neat stop. Definitely worth checking out. So we move on to Curacao, the Curacao Museum. So I love museums. I live in Southern California. I live right near Balboa Park. If you've never been in SoCal, it's got a bunch of museums. Those of you on the East Coast who have been to Balboa Park will say it sucks because you guys have huge, elaborate museums. Balboa Park, it's always going to have a special place in my heart. When you're a kid growing up in SoCal, you take you probably take a couple of field trips to Balboa Park, usually the Science Center, the Art Museum. I love all that stuff, so I love a good museum. So the Curacao Museum, really cool. It's got these big cannons outside, and we had a really good tour guide who knew a lot of the history behind it. We were talking about the trees and the cacti and, we go inside, and she actually gave us a lot of good information about how it was for the slaves in the old days, and the kind of plantation work that went on, and the drinking water situation. There's actually a lot of good stuff. This one room I'm going to show you. This room had polka dots in it. It kind of looked like Minnie Mouse's dress. Minnie Mouse and her dress is like the polka dot. That kind of reminded me of that. But anyway, she said that room was painted polka dot to, quote, make the flies dizzy. So I don't she explained why, but I guess that was just, I don't think it worked, but it's a cool little story. So like I said, a lot of great history on there. Obviously there was a lot of stuff going on with the East India Trade Company, the Dutch East India Trading Company, back in those days, so that Dutch influence is very heavy right there. If you've been to Jamaica like I have, I didn't really, get this side of the history, the Dutch influence. It's actually really, really interesting. So definitely worth checking out. Kasbari, this little region in Aruba, really great stop. At first it just looked like a little stop, to maybe just stretch your legs and get a drink and take a picture. But they have these great big rock formations left over from the volcanic activity that went on under the island, thousands and thousands of years ago. And you can actually climb it. So me and a couple other people, I don't think they were on our tour, but anyway, we're trying to find how to get to the top of these rocks, because there's people already up there. We're trying to figure it out, and we follow these stairs, and they don't go anywhere. So we're like, okay, do we start rock climbing? I'm down, I just need to know, because I don't want to, offend any locals. And we actually find out that the rocks actually overlap, and there's a little passageway that you can get through. Man, it only took maybe 15 minutes to get to the top, but man, once you got up there, it was beautiful, man. You could see the entire island. You could see all the water, all the houses, everything. It was really, really cool. Definitely one of those little side adventures, that was, makes your trip worth going on. It was really, really fun, so Kasbari, it gave me a little adventure. My wife got to sit down, have a drink, you got a little snack, hey, win all around. Number 6, I'm going with Kuka Beach in La Romana, República Dominicana. That's so much fun to say, República Dominicana. So Kuka Beach. So when we were on our tour in La Romana, our tour guide Green, he his name was Green. We called him Green. He had a buddy there who ran a couple of shops there. So he floats the tourists down there, and we buy stuff. Which I did actually. I got a couple things. Got a T-shirt. Got a couple of little knickknacks. Just say I've been to a cool spot in Dominican Republic. Dominican Republic was actually my favorite port. So. I didn't mind picking up a few things there for friends and family. But yeah, this beach was really nice, really nice beach. Shops all going up and down the strand, a couple of restaurants, so we just sat, we'd already been to the beach one day. We just sat out there on the sand and had a little snack. It was, the food, I can't really say the food was great. We had like a little chicken and French fry plate, and it looked like something my 5-year-old could have put together. It wasn't very impressive, certainly not for the price. I think we paid like $20 or $30 for just basically some French fries and some little chicken fingers, but it's what it is, it's all good. But had some drinks, decent price drinks. So the only problem was with Kuka Beach is there were a lot of bees. I don't know if it was something with the trees or maybe just food and trash that people leave behind, but the bee problem was real, man. A lot of bees. Nobody got stung, but other than that, the beach was cool, man. That's kind of one of those beaches where everything kind of comes to you. You could just sit down in a lounge chair and get a drink. They come right to you. If you want little souvenirs, they come to you. If you like, little fruits like my Mexican homies, you like your elotes and your piña all covered in, spices and stuff, that just comes to you. If you want a photo op with a macaw or a monkey or something, or an iguana, those guys come to you. There's a little band trios playing. Incidentally, I speak pretty good Spanish, like I mentioned before. My Spanish is maybe like 70%, and but when you get to talking like fast, like Caribbean Spanish, like Dominican, Cuban Spanish, it's little difficult for me to follow, even with my Spanish, so but I did manage to pick out the one of the trios players that was coming by called me Vin Diesel. Even through my crappy Spanish, I picked up, Vin Diesel, like, oh, God, they found me again. So, the trio over here, the players, they said, "Ay, Vin Diesel." I guess I can't hide anywhere, man. You found me. That was funny. But Kuka Beach, definitely worth checking out. I wish we had a little more time. We only had about an hour till we had to get back on the bus, and, not as much time as we had at other beaches, but, still really, really fun. Definitely recommend Kuka Beach. We're up to number 5. This is it's really going to start to get tricky to put these in order because they are going order from worst to best, or least best to best. I don't know. It's hard to call one worse because I enjoyed all of these places, but it's definitely getting tough. But number 5, I'm giving it to Chobo Lobo Mansion, or AKA the Curacao Distillery Tour. This was really, really cool. I'd never been to a distillery myself of any kind, so I was really excited about checking this place out. I'd heard about, if you ever heard of Curacao, it's a liqueur they put in your drinks. Usually we get blue Curacao. It makes your drink blue or green or any kind of crazy colors. Learned a lot of interesting stuff. I learned that Curacao comes in a lot of different colors. It can be clear, blue, red, green, but it's all still orange flavored liqueur. It's all still triple sec. And there's even other flavors in there. They got chocolate, tamarind, I think there was a raspberry or a berry flavor, something like that. Learned a lot of neat stuff. The tour was pretty short. There was only like maybe 2 or 3 rooms. And then, you go out back, they got a little free sample. You could try some stuff, the free samples. And then, they have a little bar right there where you can get a cocktail made with one of the spirits they have there. And then, of course, they have a gift shop where you could actually buy it. And, we got a couple bottles, Obviously, you actually can't get real Curacao. The Curacao there tastes totally different than what you can buy at your local liquor store. It does not taste the same at all. It's a lot less syrupy. It's got a lot more kick. Really, really good. So, we might open one of those, but I definitely am going to keep one of them just, for a souvenir because it's really, really cool. And you can't buy them. You can't import them here. You'd have to get a friend in Curacao to mail it to you or something like that. I don't know what don't quote me. I don't want you to get in trouble, but you can't get them here in the States. So Definitely something worth checking out. If you enjoy a cocktail or two, definitely check out Chobo Lobo Mansion. It's really fun to say, Chobo Lobo. Number 4, again, it's getting really, really tough to separate these. But number 4, I'm giving it to the Cigar Factory. Vega Fina Cigar Factory in La República Dominicana. Such a great experience. I'm not a smoker. I've never smoked anything until this cruise, actually. I tried one of the cigars, but I've never smoked anything. But going in there and looking at the history of cigars, and then we going in there actually watching them roll cigars and how they make them and how they build them up from just raw tobacco leaves and dried out tobacco leaves, but the product right there, they take it and they finesse and they roll. You see how much like finesse goes into it, man. And this kid rolling cigars looked like he could be my son. He was probably about 20. Either that or he had a serious baby face going on. But, young kid rolling cigars like a pro, man. It's really, really cool to watch, There's a lot of history in that room, It shows you, all the way back to the 1700s, they started rolling cigars, man. Really, really neat stuff, I didn't expect there to be that much history involved with cigars, but if you've never been to a cigar factory, why not take the opportunity to go to one in the Caribbean, obviously it's not Cuba, but hey, why not? Dominican cigars, they say they're pretty awesome, and I don't really have a basis for comparison, but, I tried one on the beach. My wife was smoking one. I said, yeah, I'll try it. Why not? I never really smoked anything before. I didn't start hacking coughing, which is what I thought was going to happen, but it didn't. It was actually, it had kind of a, nutty, chocolatey coffee kind of finish. And it tasted like the earth it probably came out of, It was really cool, So definitely check out the Cigar Factory if you're in La Romana. Number 3, the Hato Caves in Curacao. Man, did not see this one coming, man. They talked about the caves. I thought it was just going to be some, like, above ground cave, like maybe you just go through a couple of rooms, or maybe it's, I didn't expect it to be as expansive as it is. This cave system is huge. So big, and really cool. We got stalactites and stalagmites coming out of the walls and the ceilings and the floors. Really, really neat stuff and a lot of history. They said that cave was 300,000 years old. Good God, man. Really, really cool. That's like touching history, not just like, national history, but like world history. Really, really cool stuff, was not expecting to see that in the Caribbean island. Fruit bats flying around. It was super, super humid in there, by the way. So if you're going to go to these caves, make sure you hydrate, bring a little electronic fan if you have one, although there are fans all strewn about the cave, so they got you covered on that. But still, make sure you hydrate, make sure you take care of yourself if you're going to go in there. But we had a blast in there, and not only did we have a blast just looking at the caves, the caves just looking at them are a marvel, but we got a lot of interesting history on them too. I hate to keep going back to the slavery thing. I'm trying not to get all preachy, but it is a fact of life. It's a part of our history. It's something that happens, something that still happens in other countries, So we learned that those caves were actually a refuge for slaves, that the caves had water in them and they would, run and hide in the caves, but the caves didn't have an adequate food source. So they had to come out at night and try to sneak food, and eventually they were found out, and it was a whole thing. So history and, God knows what those caves have seen, that cave system is amazing, You couldn't take a whole lot of pictures in there because they didn't want to disturb the fruit bats, because I guess the fruit bats really help their ecology because they go out at night and they eat fruit, and their droppings, help to cultivate the land. So, you want to be respectful of those things, but definitely a high point of the trip. The Hato Caves in Curacao, amazing. Number 2, the silver medalist. Number 2, the sugarcane plantation in La Romana. I mentioned before that I'm Cuban. I'm half Cuban on my mother's side, and something happened to me when I went out there, man. I had a very, very human experience going out to that sugarcane field. First of all, the people there were very, very nice, very, very welcoming. I know we're Americans and we come down there and we got money and all that, but were tasting fresh sugar cane. It was really good, actually. I mentioned before that the sugar cane, if you never had raw sugar cane before, it doesn't really taste like the kind of sugar that we get. It's everything's processed and everything. It tastes almost like alcohol. It has like a fermented taste, really, really interesting stuff. It just comes right out of the ground, and you can just sit there and chew on it. I was just chewing on a piece of that sugar cane for a while. So we had that. We went inside, and they're cooking food right there on an outside kitchen, and they showed us their gardens and where they grow everything. Man, it was really, really cool. I talked about this before. I'll put a link in the description, but we were out there, and this gentleman that worked out there, or he was, they own the place. They don't work for anybody; they work for themselves. But I was just telling him, I realized that these people were bringing us into their home, and I just tried to make sure they knew how grateful we were. I was saying, I think I was the only person in our tour that spoke Spanish, so I was telling them in Spanish, "Hey, thank you very much for letting us come and spend some time with you. This is really, really beautiful and interesting stuff. Thank you so much." And I just wanted to make sure he knew his hospitality was appreciated, and he ended up giving me this piece of fruit right off of his tree. Man, it was it was a cactus, but he gave me this piece of fruit. He called it a passion fruit. I think it's actually a dragon fruit. I don't know the difference, but beautiful piece of fruit, and he jokingly told me to eat it before I made love to my wife. But I thanked him profusely. We shared a hug. It was really, really a great experience. Just being out there in that field, seeing how those people live and how they work, really is kind of like time travel. You go back and you see what it was probably like, back in antiquity. People just trying to earn money and bring these people in and, talk to them and get to know them a little bit. It was really a human experience, and definitely one that you do not want to miss. Go check out that sugarcane plantation in La Romana if you have a chance. I guarantee you'll love it. It might change your life. Number 1 site on our tour, Eagle Beach in Aruba. Man, it's the only beach that we got in during our cruise, man. And, man, it was so worth it. If you have to go to one beach on this itinerary, it has to be Eagle Beach, man. That beach, oh, my God. Crystal clear waters, turquoise, absolutely gorgeous, not super crowded. I'm from SoCal, man. I'm used to my beaches being brown and crowded with people. Man, Eagle Beach was absolutely gorgeous. We had a beautiful day. It was, clear skies, just a couple clouds. I'm there with my wife. It's our 10th anniversary. The only thing, we did have to pay a little money to get a lounge chair and an umbrella. I think it was $50, for 2 chairs and an umbrella, but whatever. But it was worth it, man. We're out there, and it was beautiful beach. I will say the water was really, really salty. Whatever. I don't know if it was in a cove or an inlet or something, but that water was just a little saltier than I had expected, but it was still beautiful, man. Absolutely beautiful water, white sand. I can't say enough good things. The pictures speak for themselves about Eagle Beach in Aruba. It's absolutely wonderful. The only drawback was, and this really doesn't have anything to do with the beach, but there on the strand, back from the sand, but on the beach along the road, there's a couple places to eat, and the one I just happened to stop at, and I stopped there because the food smelled amazing. Whatever they were cooking smelled great. Didn't have a menu on there, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're really, I guess the smell just speaks for itself. So I went up there and I asked the guy, hey, man, what do you guys got? He says, oh, we got steak, we got chicken, we got pork chop, we got shrimp. I'm like, all right, 1 steak, 1 shrimp. And in the meantime, I'm standing around. There's 20 people standing around, and in the 20 minutes I was standing there, no food came out. So I'm like, bro, what's going on? We got like 45 minutes, and we got to get back on this bus, man. What the hell's going on? So I didn't get any food from them. I ended up just getting a couple of beers from another stand. Luckily I didn't pay, so I didn't have to, try to get my money back. But that was the only little drawback. And I imagine that probably happens a lot. When a busload of tourists comes through. But whatever. It certainly didn't ruin our day. That beach is absolutely gorgeous. If you go to Aruba, definitely go to Eagle Beach in Aruba. You will, man. Absolutely gorgeous day. Gorgeous beach. I wish I was there right now. And if you want to go to the beach with me, maybe put some sunscreen on my back because I definitely need some help with that. Like, share, and subscribe to BJBL Unleashed on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram while you're at it, and I will see you next time for more Unleashed.